Okay, and we are live.
All right.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Online. We are here with the legendary trainer, Uncle James Ali Bashir. Apologies for the late running of this show. We did say 10 p.m. It's just a little later than 10 p.m., but we still got Uncle in the room, so we'll get straight into things. Uncle, how are we doing?
Everything's going well.
Fantastic, fantastic. How are things been with you since the Serenko win?
It was a good win. It was a good win, solid win. Even though it was a first round KO, I expected more from the opponent, but it is what it is, you know. Serenko is going to have to step up his competition at some point. You know, I'd rather for it to be sooner than later, you know, but it is what it is. We got to keep going until we get to that point.
What exactly happened to the opponent? Did he break a rib? Did he break a jaw? What happened?
I think it was a combination of the way he fell. I think it was his knee and the body shot that he took prior to his falling, you know, because he complained about the rib, the lower right rib, and the knee, the right knee. So I think it was a combination of the two.
Were you surprised at the finish or how quickly the fight finished?
Yeah. Well, I liked the way it ended, but you know, I was just surprised that the guy would engage that. I thought the guy would be a little more cagey. I thought he would be, you know, more smarter than to try to get into a fight with Vlad. But he did, and he paid.
In terms of the finish itself, did you like the way Vlad got himself into position to finish? Did you feel that he rushed himself when he got in close?
No, I thought that he did a nice job. I thought that he did a nice job.
Okay.
You know, he put his. It was a combination. We put together a good combination. Something that we work on a lot inside the gym. We always work on combination punches. Vlad is only 6'4", and so most of the guys in the division are big guys. So I'm working with him on getting the body and the memory, the body's memory of throwing combinations. So if you don't get him with one punch, you get him with the next 3 punches.
Okay. I noticed that you did a post on your Facebook page back in 2017. Now you're in 2019. How much development has Vlad Serenko made, and what has been the fundamental changes from where he was to where he is?
He's made a great progression since that time, you know. I think the biggest thing with any young fighter is memory. Memory in the fight, you know, because the fight is far different from hitting the mitts and shadow boxing. You got to bring these things to fruition in the fight. And so he's doing that. He's done that in the last 6-7 fights, you know, that he's had. He's starting to put the combination together. That's the big thing, to be mindful of combination punching.
Okay.
Because if 1 or 2 don't get him, the last 3 will, you know. Vlad's a heavy-handed guy, punches very well to the body, punches very well to the head, and he has numbing power, you know. He has numbing power. If he lands those punches on anybody, I don't care who it is, they're going to feel him.
Okay. All right. I heard stories that rumors, don't know how true it is, that Vlad Serenko's next fight is going to be in South Africa. How much truth is there in that?
It's up in the air right now. But I'm really done with South Africa. In my mind, I'm done with South Africa. I don't want to go back there because I mean, we've done enough, you know, and I thank the people in South Africa for giving us a format to work on. But, you know, I'm done with it. I want to move on now. I want to move on to bigger and better things.
When you say you're done with South Africa, is that a done with it because you think it's now time to step up, or you're done with it for personal reasons?
I think it's time to step up. I think it's time for us to get out of South Africa and get on the world circuit, you know, Germany, America, you know, those type of situations. Britain, that's where the action is. That's where we need to go. I mean, South Africa was fine in the initial stages of his career, but now it's time to move on to get more experience, get used to working in front of the big crowds.
Okay, so if you were going to name the sort of opponent you'd like to see Serenko in with this at this stage of his career, what are you looking at in your mindset?
I'd like to get him in with, the crafty old veterans. I'd like to get him in there with Kevin Johnson, guys of that caliber, guys that can give him education, guys that he can really have a sense of achievement after he beats them, that he can have a sense that I've really done something by beating this guy. Kevin Johnson is one of those guys.
Okay, so Kevin Johnson, a fight you'd like to have then?
Yeah.
Anybody,
I'd definitely like to have the Kevin Johnson fight.
Anybody else that comes to mind?
It doesn't. There's a lot of guys out there, even a Shannon Briggs, those kind of guys, dangerous guys. These guys are Shannon Briggs, Kevin Johnson. These guys are still dangerous guys. If a young fighter comes in and don't know what they're doing, Kevin Johnson or Shannon Briggs can beat him. So you
would put Serenko in the ring with Shannon Briggs, the king of the first rounders.
Yeah, I'd put him in with Shannon Briggs. Because it's a good fight. It's a good sense of achievement. When you put a feather like that in your cap, then you did it. Because Shannon is a one-punch knockout artist. If he landed the shot clean, he can knock you out.
But would you really want to be putting that sort of risk in Serenko at this stage of his career? Or do you think that's what he needs?
I think that's what he needs. I think that a fighter is only going to be as good as what he believes he is. You understand? You can't trying to avoid Shannon Briggs, you'll run into somebody else that can punch. You can't avoid guys because they can punch. You can't avoid guys because they can box. You've got to go in there and solve the math problem. That's what I want Vlad Serenko to do, to solve the math problem. We can't avoid. You know what I'm saying? You can't you can't live in boxing avoiding people. You can't live in boxing just avoiding people. You're gonna, if you avoid Shannon, if you avoid Kevin, you're gonna run into somebody else. You can't fight gimmies your whole career. So I mean that's as good a start as any.
Okay, all right. You're in the States at the moment. Can you give us any update on Justin Jones?
I'll be with Justin Jones on Friday.
Okay.
Friday, I'll fly into Las Vegas. I'm in New Jersey now. I'm washing clothes and stuff and getting packed right now. And I'll be with Justin Jones Saturday morning. We'll start.
Okay.
We'll start together.
And how long's that camp for?
5 weeks. 5 weeks. We look to have something at the end of 5 weeks.
And then do you know who will be fighting yet? Have you got any ideas?
No, don't have any ideas. But I do know that we need to step up, and he's willing to step up. That's why I like Justin Jones. Justin is not looking to avoid anybody. He's looking to step in with the big guns in the division, whoever they may be.
Okay.
I thought that we were going to box with Joey Dwicko,
Yeah.
But Joey said he'll fight. Right? He wants to get paid for it, which is usually the motivation nowadays. It's not like yesteryear. Yesteryear, it wasn't money. Money was always an issue, but not such a big issue yesteryear. But now it's more business, And I understand where Joey coming from. Joey says I'll fight him. Joey said I'm not afraid to fight him, but I want to get paid for it.
Okay.
I think that Justin Jones and Joey Dwicko, I think it makes a beautiful fight. I think the chemistry between the two of them makes a beautiful fight. That's why I want to see the fight. Okay.
We'll see how that goes. Another fighter I know you have your eye on is Cecilia Brækhus. She made a post on her Instagram page. She's waiting for her next opponent. And I wrote to Cecilia saying, why don't you fight Ivana Habazan? No response. What is the situation with Ivana?
Ivana is there, has been there for the longest, vying for a fight with Cecilia Brækhus. I think Cecilia Brækhus is not afraid of Ivana, but I think she's leery of her. I think that she knows that Ivana brings her closer to a defeat on her record as anybody else that's out there. You know, and if that's not the case, then I'm trying to figure out why won't she fight her? I mean, we've done everything aside from approach her with a gun to make the fight. You know, we want that fight. We want the fight. I'd love to see that fight because, again, this is another case of chemistry. I think that Cecilia will bring out the best in Ivana, and I think Ivana will bring out the best in Cecilia.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's make the fight.
It looks like the super fight between Cecilia Brækhus and Claressa Shields is a non-starter. I think Cecilia said that Clarissa's too big for her.
Yeah, I mean, Clarissa's a big girl, a big strong girl, big strong young girl. So I can understand her logic. You know, Claressa would have to come down to 154 pounds to make that fight. And Cecilia would have to come up to 154. But I still think that Claressa is too thick, too big for Claressa. I just think she's just a big girl.
Yeah.
I think that Ivana would be better suited. And Ivana is really small next to Cecilia, next to Claressa. But I think Ivana is bigger and stronger than Cecilia.
Okay. Interesting.
I'd like to see that fight.
Okay.
I'd like to see Ivana get in with Claressa Shields.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. The other Ukrainian fighter that you have on your books that you're training and working with?
Kasuk.
Yes.
Vladimir Kasuk.
Talk to me more about Vladimir Kasuk. What's going on with Vladimir Kasuk at the moment?
He's just working right now. He's just in the camp working. I'm gonna get back to Poland with him very shortly. You know, most likely when I leave out of Las Vegas, I'll probably go back there, or either I come after I'm out of the camp. It just depends on what comes up. Okay. If Ivana has a championship fight, then I'll have to honor her by being there for a championship fight. And then I'll get back to Vladimir. But right now, Vladimir Kasuk is in the educational stages of his career. Okay,
cool. No problems. All right. I'm not sure if you heard Barry Hearn's comments recently at the press conference for Dillian Whyte and Oscar Rivas. Did you get to hear those comments?
Yeah, I heard him. I think that's a poor choice of words, even if he didn't mean anything by it. I think it's a poor choice of words, especially coming from a white man, you know? It's just a poor choice of words. You don't have to use those kind of words in any term when discussing the big fights that's coming. So I think it's a poor choice of words.
He said that back in the day, he was like a slave driver. Was he slave owner or slave driver?
Slave driver or something.
Yeah, and now he has to call Dillian Whyte Mr. Dillian Whyte. But he sounded like he was bragging about it. He was smiling about it all, you know?
Yeah, but you know, like I said, it was a poor choice of words and scenarios. You know, you didn't have to use that. You could say I found another way of saying that. You know, I didn't like it. I think it was distasteful. You know, despite whether he meant something by it or didn't mean something by it, I think that it was just a poor choice of words.
Does it change your opinion of Barry Hearn or Matchroom because of this?
I think my opinion is that that he comes from a long line of mentality. People that have mentalities like that there. Somewhere in his bloodline, somebody had a mentality. Somebody had that slave master mentality somewhere in his bloodline. So do I think that he's capable of that? Of course I think he's capable of it. I think a lot of people boxing is capable of. Not all whites, but a lot of whites. You know, not all whites, but a lot of whites.
Some people felt from the black community that when Dillian Whyte was smiling at or laughing with Barry Hearn, they thought that it wasn't in good taste. But then others thought, well, he was doing that because he was just trying to, you know, not take it too seriously. What are your thoughts on it?
I can't say yay or nay on it, you know, but I wouldn't have been smiling, you know. I'm sure that Dillian would have another perspective about it. I think that Dillian himself would have some kind of justification for doing it. But I think I would have said something to Barry. I would have pulled him aside and said, hey, man, it's a poor scenario that you just made. And don't use those words again, not in my presence, not while I'm here on the podium, please. I would have said something. I know me. I know the kind of person I am. You know, I know I would have rebelled by saying something.
Lennox Lewis wasn't very impressed.
Lennox wasn't very impressed about what?
About what Barry had to say.
I don't blame him. Lennox Lewis is a militant guy. You know, I spent a lot of years around Lennox. You know, we got to know each other pretty well in the 7 years that I was around him. We got to know each other pretty well, up close and personal. He's a good guy, but he's an advocate for what's right. You know, for him to say, you know, I used to be like a slave master and this and that and laughing about it, you know, I just think that's in poor taste. I don't like it.
Now, Deontay,
you know,
what?
I've had people threaten me, say, oh, you don't want to do this, you'll make enemies and this and that. I really don't care. I mean, I love boxing, but I don't care.
And we are live.
Huh?
Sorry, go ahead, Uncle.
I don't care if I lose favor in boxing. You know, I've been here for 50 years, but I don't care if I lose favor with people in boxing. You know, when it comes to civil rights is more important to me than boxing. So if I see something that's negative, if I see something that's wrong, if I see something that's corrupt, if I see something that's inefficient, I'm going to confront it. And I don't care who gets offended by it. I don't care. I really don't care. Civil rights to me is far more important than boxing.
How do you feel about people that come along and say, oh, he didn't really mean it that way. Why are you getting so offended? It wasn't meant that way. It wasn't just for black fighters. It was for all fighters at that time. And, well, you know, you're too sensitive because you're being too sensitive about it. Because that's the other argument that's come out now. You're being too sensitive about it.
To me, that's just that's that person's opinion. That's that person's perspective. But you can't get behind the steering wheel of my own opinion and my own perspective. You can't get behind the wheel of my emotions and say, this is the way I want to steer the vehicle. No, he didn't mean it, and you're being too serious. That's your opinion. Your opinion is your opinion, and my opinion is my opinion. Don't use the word slave master. It's a very sensitive issue.
It is.
Especially in Britain and America. Especially in Britain and America, because Britain don't have no better history than America has. So just can that. You just stay away from those kind of topics. You understand? Because you stir up different emotions when you start talking like that.
People will say it'll be something that'll just get brushed under the carpet and won't be addressed after that.
I didn't like it.
Okay. What are your thoughts on this fight with Dillian Whyte and Oscar Rivas?
I don't know enough about Oscar Rivas. I don't know Oscar Rivas, period.
He beat Pulev in the amateurs.
He what?
He beat Pulev in the amateurs. He knocked out Bryant Jennings in his last fight, in the last round.
He knocked Bryant Jennings out?
In the last round.
Recently?
Yeah.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he knocked out Bryant Jennings.
Must be a decent fighter, you know?
He's decent.
I didn't know Brian Jones got knocked out. This is the first I heard of it.
Well, yeah, he knocked him out.
Must be a pretty good fighter.
Well,
I'll tell you one thing. He's in a good fight because Dillian White can fight, and Dillian White will fight. I got a newfound respect for Dillian White. Dillian White hasn't turned nothing down but his collar. So I got a newfound respect for Dillian White because he's proved himself. He should have been at a title shot. He should have been at a title fight. The guy's been together with Dillian has left. He's had 5 fights.
I know.
You know, when does he qualify? And he's defeated all 5 adversaries. So when does he qualify for the title fight?
He doesn't, as far as I'm concerned.
Now they got him fighting this guy, Oscar Rivas.
And then after,
come on, man.
After that, it'll either be Usyk or somebody else. I think it's it'll keep going.
Did I hear today that Usyk tore a bicep?
Yeah, I was going to talk to you about that. He tore a bicep, but I thought it was because me personally, I thought it was because ticket sales are low for him and Takam. But I could be wrong.
Wow, you know, if he tore a bicep, that's not a good look. It's gonna take maybe the rest of this year for that bicep to heal up. You know, it's gonna take the rest of this year, and then you got to see how he's gonna do. I mean, was the right arm, left arm? You got to see how he has to work. A bicep tear is not an easy thing to recover from. If
it is a real bicep tear and it's not because of ticket sales, that's an injury. You know that you can get injured for lack of ticket sales. Yeah, it's called injury to the pocket.
Yeah, injury to the pocket. Yeah.
So I mean, I was saying Takam doesn't sell tickets, and Usyk is not a massive ticket seller. So who's going to sell the tickets for that fight? I said, if you got Usyk versus Chisora, now that would make money. That would sell tickets because Chisora's going to run up his mouth and he'll bring it to Usyk for as long as he can.
Yeah, I think that would be a more enticing fight too.
Much more enticing fight than Takam.
You know, people probably view Takam as a gimme. I think Takam is a tough fighter. I think that Usyk could beat him. I think that Takam would put up a good fight up against Usyk. But I think that you're right, that Chisora would have been a better look than Takam.
I wouldn't be surprised the way Matchroom goes. I wouldn't be surprised. What are your thoughts on Eddie Hearn saying, this is British Boxing Media asked the question, what are your thoughts on Eddie Hearn saying Dave Allen's 2 wins away from a world title shot?
Dave Allen is 2 wins away from a world title shot. I guess so. He's Dave Allen's promoter. So he can say anything he wants to say. You know? I don't think that he qualifies to be in with Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder, so I don't know world title shot. I mean, they're going to make up another title? Because I don't see him being in a position style-wise, attribute-wise, I don't see him being in a position to compete against Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder. I don't see it.
Okay.
He's a good fighter, but not on that level.
All right. Your thoughts on Brazil versus Wilder?
That's a pick'em fight. You know, I got Wilder winning by a nose, but it's a pick'em fight because Brazil has an attitude. He has desire. He's strong, and if he can maintain his stability in that ring, he can put up a good fight. But I got Wilder winning the fight.
Early, late?
Wilder has the equalizer in that right hand. So anywhere in that fight that he lands that right hand, you got to just see what's going to happen. Whether Brazil can take that right hand, if he can take the shots from that right hand and stand up, then it should be a good fight. But that right hand is is a wicked right hand, and it's very, very powerful. It's very powerful.
Okay. Did you see the fight between Canelo and Jacobs?
Yes.
It seemed to me that Jacobs has not learned his lessons from the GGG fight, and he didn't want to win. He seemed like he just wanted to be quite content to go the distance.
Well, I think that he fought a closer fight with GGG than he did with Canelo. I think Canelo swept him on the cards.
That's what I felt.
Well, I think that Canelo did a better job than Triple G.
Well, I think Canelo's a better fighter than Triple G. A better boxer than Triple G.
You know, I was with Matthew South Muhammad.
Okay.
And I came in the locker room the night after he lost to Dwight Cowie the second time.
Okay.
And just for instance, maybe 10, 15 seconds, we were in the locker room alone. And I walked past him to get a towel because his mouth was bleeding or something. I was trying to get him a towel. And our eyes momentarily met, and he said that he was probably looking into my brain, but he looked at me and he said, "Hey man, he just got my number. He just got my number." You know, and I gave him the towel and I left out the room. But he looked at me, both our eyes met, he said, "Hey man, he just got my number. He's got my number." And I get the same impression about Triple G and Canelo. That Canelo after that last fight, because he put a whooping on Triple G. I thought G won both fights. I would have given, if I was a judge, I would have given both fights to Triple G. But having said that, Canelo in that second fight, he was able to successfully back Triple G up the entire fight, and he put a whooping on him with the combinations. I mean, did you see Triple G's face after that fight?
Yeah, I saw.
So I get the same impression. It takes me back to that night in Philadelphia when Cowie fought Todd. You know, that Canelo has Triple G's number. I got your number, and I think the next time they fight, it's going to be more explosive. Because the reason I say that, because Triple G will have to prove that he still belongs. He'll have to go in and really put a whooping on Canelo.
Yeah.
And Canelo is coming in saying, "No, I'm not going to leave any room for doubt this time. This time I'm going to stop."
Yeah.
So the chemistry going into that fight.
It's a great fight.
It's going to be explosive.
Absolutely. I was having this discussion about Canelo and the middleweights, and how many of the middleweights today would you consider great middleweights?
I mean, great middleweights. I mean, you're talking great middleweights. You're talking, when you say great middleweights, you're talking about Hagler, you're talking about Monzon.
We talked about Hagler. One of the guys that came was Hagler, and Malky Mayweather. He said to me that he said a lot of Hagler's fights and a lot of the legacy Hagler had was against welterweights. What are your thoughts on that?
No.
Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns, Duran, they were all guys that moved up in weight.
Yeah, they came up, but I'm saying Hagler beat a lot of middleweights before that. He beat some good, Hagler beat some 100% middleweights. All right? Juan Roldan, Mickey Goodwin, Fulio Bell, you know, those guys were middleweight fighters. Fulio Bell, Mickey Goodwin, Juan Roldan, you know, Wilfred Scipion. I mean, Hagler beat some 100% middleweight. I don't know what they're talking about. That's Johnny come lately talking about Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, and Durant. That's on the tail end of it. Look, all they got to do is go to the records and look at the middleweight that he fought prior to those guys.
To me, so how do you think Canelo would do against a Hagler?
tell you one thing, he'd be in the mixer. I mean, Hagler he'd beat Canelo's ass. Okay, he'd beat his ass. I don't care. Canelo would mess Hagler's face up the way he messed up Triple G's face up. But he wouldn't take that kind of pressure. He wouldn't take them kind of punches. Hagler was non-stop aggression. He'd come forward, and he wasn't a pretty guy. He wasn't real pretty. He's coming forward to fight. No, I see Hagler stopping Canelo. And might stop Triple G too. Hagler was a beast, man. He was a beast. He was a great middleweight. All you gotta do is just go. Anybody who has doubt about his credibility, just go to BoxRec and look at the middleweight that he fought.
Okay. One man that they're talking a lot about is Billy Joe Saunders. How great is Billy Joe Saunders, in your opinion?
Billy Joe Saunders is a good, slick boxer, you know? He's a really good, slick boxer, but he's not the kind of guy that I'm gonna climb over a fence to see. He's a very good boxer. He can cause problems. He's a cutie pie, but you know, I don't think he should have fought
Andrade.
Yeah, he should have fought Andrade.
Does he beat Canelo?
No, I don't think he beats him.
Why?
No. I mean, he'll box for a while, but Canelo has grown progressively since the Floyd Mayweather fight. And he's not avoiding nobody. You know, quite arguably, he lost to the Southpaw, the Cuban Southpaw.
Lara.
Yeah. Quite arguably, but having said that, Law left the door open for that. Because he didn't step up in those last 3 rounds. He didn't step up and roll the dice and say, look, I'm going to put a stamp on my victory. He left the door open for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Canelo is not avoiding nobody. I think that he's willing to fight anybody in the division.
You know, he offered Errol Spence $20 million to move up to fight him.
Yeah, but I think Errol Spence needs to stay right where he is and leave that alone.
Why?
Because Errol Spence can run into problems with Canelo. Errol Spence can run into some problems with Canelo. Canelo can box. And I think good boxing is going to give Errol Spence problems.
Why'd you say this?
I think I've seen before. I've seen guys that can box give him problems. Errol Spence can box himself. He's a good, beautiful boxer himself. But I think that guy that really can box it, go in there and uses the jab and uses the articulation of good professional boxers could give him problems. Because he's a power freak. He wants to get inside and maul you and break your body down, you know? And in doing so, he makes himself vulnerable to counterpunches.
Okay. All right. There's talk that Pacquiao versus Thurman could be next. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Pacquiao wins. Thurman is a strong guy, a hard-punching guy. But Pacquiao is from another planet.
Yes.
He finds a way to win. I like his enthusiasm. I like his mindset. I like his application. I like Pacquiao. I like Manny Pacquiao. I think he finds a way to win the Thurman fight. As little, as small as he is, I think he finds a way to win it.
What have you made of Thurman He doesn't seem a guy that seems to have the passion anymore in boxing. In my opinion, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I like Thurman 3-4 years back, but now it's just like I'll do it. He doesn't capture the imagination. I was on the phone early this morning, with a good friend that I hadn't seen in 20, 25 years. But I was inspired this morning to call him and talk with him about the middleweight division. I was on the phone early this morning when I woke up, and I was inspired to call Earl Hargrove out of Philadelphia.
Okay.
Murderous puncher. Earl Hargrove was a murderous puncher. Got knocked out in the first round by John the Beast Mugabe in a puncher's shootout. I think Earl came in 25 or 24-0, and John came in 25-0, and John stopped Earl in the first round. It was a shootout. Anybody could have got caught. But I was talking to Earl this morning saying how the middleweights of yesteryear was completely different from the middleweights of today. How those guys from yesteryear, I told Earl, I said, man, Newark is 125 miles from Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I spoke with Earl passionately, and I said to him, I said, how the middleweight of yesteryear, they really invested themselves in boxing. How they came to fight. It wasn't about money. When we signed the contract, the money is in the bank. Now it's about legacy. So when I heard that Earl Hargrove was fighting, I don't care if it was a 6-rounder or a 10-rounder or a 4-rounder. I was driving through traffic like a bat out of hell because I wanted to see Earl Hargrove fight. And you had to get the Earl Hargrove fight early because when he hit somebody, he put him to sleep.
He's like a Julian Jackson then.
Yes. Like a Julian Jackson.
Wow.
If you look up Earl Hargrove's record, you'll see his work. And he wasn't knocking over creamies. He was knocking over good middleweight fighters. Solid middleweight fighters. He was knocking them out. So these guys today, they good fighters, but, they leave something to be desired. They're not like the middleweights of yesterday.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think that Canelo wants to fight Andrade. He wants that belt. He wants to get that WBO belt. So he's already said, I want Andrade next. And I know Andrade, the kind of fighter is, he's not going to back away from it. He's going to accept the challenge. So I think that the only other way for Canelo to go to establish credibility in the division is to fight Charlo, which I don't think he's going to do, but I'm saying that's what he should do.
He wants to move up and fight Callum Smith.
Huh?
He wants to move up and fight Callum Smith.
Yeah, but I think he got unfinished business at middleweight. But he can do what he wants to do. But I think that he's got unfinished business at middleweight.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Isaac Dogba, you know the gentleman I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
He lost to that tall. He lost his title to that tall opponent. He now is going back and fighting him again in a rematch this Saturday night. Your thoughts?
I think that's a bad move for him.
So do I.
I think he should avoid that fight. That kid beat him pretty thoroughly, And the momentum is with that young man. Where's the kid from Mexico?
I think so.
I think that, the momentum is with that young man, and he's going to beat him again.
I think he might have gone and stop him this time.
Yeah, I'm thinking that he's going to stop because the momentum kid. See, they underestimated that kid when they took him. But now the kid is saying, look, I got to put a stamp on my work. So this time I'm going to stop him. But he put a good whooping on him. He put a good whooping on Dogba.
You think there's anything Dogba can do differently?
Yeah, I think it's something he can do differently, not take the fight, not show up. I think that's a smart thing to do, is not show up. I think that he needs 2 fights with guys that's similar to this guy. Because I think that this guy is better than what he's being given credit for. I think the young man is better than what they're giving him credit for. They're shrugging it off as though it was just a mild step back. But I think it was more than a step back. He got his behind whooped that night. He got a good whooping that night. That kid whooped him. He was whooping on him, you know?
Yeah.
And now when the kid know that he whooped him, so now the kid's gonna come back and say, you know what, I can knock him out. You know? And that might possibly happen in this rematch. But I wouldn't take the fight. I would take it right back.
Okay.
You know, I would.
All right. Earlier on tonight, I spoke to Master Genius Babatunde Ajayi. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
We were talking about obviously his fight to Anthony Yard, challenging Sergey Kovalev for the light heavyweight championship of the world, and he believes that they already are champion and that it's not really a challenge. Fact of the matter is, they're the champion, and it's only a matter of time.
Well, if I was training Anthony Yard, I'd say the same thing. You know? But he's going to try to convince you and anybody else that'll listen that he believes that. But I think that the young man there in Russia, I think that the kid is Kovalev is boxing on his last legs, you know. I think that he's Humpty Dumpty sitting on the wall, you know. Can Anthony Yard pull the trick and get him out of there? Perhaps. But I wouldn't bet on it.
Why?
First of all, he's got to go into Russia to do it.
Okay.
Anthony Yard has done most of his work in Britain.
I did pull that. I pulled that up to Tunde. So a ring is a ring.
Yeah, well, but the pressure of fighting abroad is different, especially in Russia. You know, if Anthony Yard can handle the pressure of being in Russia and competing, if he can void out the crowd and all of the antics that's going to go on prior to the fight, if he can lock that out, then it gives him a better chance of overcoming it. But Kovalev can box. He's not just a puncher. He knows how to box. As he demonstrated against Bernard Hopkins and in his last fight. He demonstrated that he knows how to box. And he seemed to have a rhythm and a comfort zone with Buddy McGirt training him. So don't expect for the fight just to be a gimme. You know, if Tunde and them going to think that, you know, it's just a matter of them doing it, I think it's going to be a little more than that.
He said
Kovalev knows how to box.
Andre Ward made some comments about Anthony Yard and Tunde said, well, you know what? Once we win the title, you can get it as well. You can get, after we knock out Kovalev, you can get knocked out as well. He says, he says, Andre Ward I ain't no fan of Andre Ward. He basically says, Andre Ward, you know, people don't talk about Andre Ward. People will talk about Anthony Yard. They won't talk about Andre Ward.
Andre Ward is a master boxer.
That's me too. I think he is too.
He's a master boxer. He's articulate. He knows when to hold them and he knows when to fold them. Andre Ward is a very elite fighter. I think that Tunde is making a mistake in his judgment of him. I think that Yard is going to be a good fighter, just not yet. Just not yet. And if he's not careful over there, he'll get knocked out, Russ.
What are the keys, in your opinion? What does Yard have to do to beat Kovalev? And you talked about stuff in Russia. What is the sort of antics they can expect?
Well, I mean, it's just the pressure. It's just the pressure of being in Russia. Everything. I mean, a lot of times I've seen boxers go to a different place and they get caught up in all of the pre-fight hype. That can consume a fight. If a fighter's not mentally stable, like I said, Anthony's fight has been primarily in Britain. But if you're not mentally and spiritually tuned in to another country and another way of life and all of the pre-fight build-up, it can take the start out of a fight. I've seen it happen. I think that he's going to have to go in there, and I think that he cannot fool around. He cannot go in there and try to box with Kovalev. Because if he boxes him, the fight's going to be, he's going to lose the fight.
Why would he lose the fight if he tried to box with Kovalev?
Kovalev is a better boxer.
Okay.
Kovalev is a better boxer. You saw how he boxed with Bernard Hopkins, and you saw how he boxed in the last fight that he had, in the rematch. You saw how good he boxed in that fight.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? He boxed beautifully. Everybody thought that he was done after being knocked out. They thought he was done. He came back and boxed a masterful fight. He shut the guy down. I was hard-pressed to believe that he is the guy that just knocked Kovalev out, and Kovalev is handling this guy easily now. He spanked him. So that's what Anthony, and I like Anthony Yard. I like him, you know. But I think that his best bet in that fight is to engage Kovalev. You know, Anthony Yard seems to be a good puncher himself. I think that he needs to cut the rein down and engage him, you know. Get behind a jab and work that jab to the head, to the body, and try to land those right hands in the body. And he has to start that out in the first round to the fifth round, and then he'll be ready up top after the fifth round. But he has to weaken him to the body. Kovalev is an old fighter now. He needs to go to the body and take his legs from under him, and then go up top late after the fifth round. But if he lets Kovalev come out there and dictate the pace with his jab and his boxing skills, he's going to lose the fight.
Okay. From the skill set that you've seen of Anthony Yard, has he got the skill set to move to the next gear to be considered a world-class fighter and bridge the gap between the fight he hasn't had to fighting for the world title?
I really haven't seen him in there with the kind of competition.
That's it.
That I can say that he has those kind of tools. Have you?
That's the thing. I haven't.
I haven't seen him box anybody on the Kovalev level where I can say that I can see him making adjustments and coming in and taking the fight over. I just haven't seen it. I've seen him in there boxing subpar opposition, but I haven't seen him up there with the jewels of the division. No, I don't even know whether he's been to sparring camps with the jewels of the division. So I just don't. You can't just say I can just change gears and go up and fight the elite guys in the division when I haven't fought them in fights.
Have you known in the history of you being as a boxing trainer, have you ever heard of a situation with that guy who has had limited amateur experience, limited pro experience, and has gone and fought for a world title and won a world title against a guy who's got extensive amateur experience, extensive pro experience?
I'm sure I have. I just can't recall. You know, I just can't recall right now. With all the things that's in my mind about boxing right now, I'm sure that there has been an occasion here or there where that might have happened, but between.
But then, if Yard knocks Kovalev out, does that make him a great fighter, or does that mean he's just picked the right fight at the right time?
Right fight at the right time, you know. If he goes in and knocks out Kovalev, then I'll be the first to say I underestimated him. But I just don't see that happening because he hasn't set the stage by fighting credible fighters. I don't know that Anthony Yard has fought anybody that was on that level of Kovalev.
Well, I talked to Tunde about the sparring, and he said to me that he thinks it's counterproductive doing hard sparring. He said you should save that for the fight.
It's not hard sparring. I mean, sparring is only as hard as the people that's in there makes it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I bring bigger gloves. I bring bigger gloves for my guys to box with because I don't want them beating up coming to the fight. I can sympathize with what he's saying, but you can't stop them from sparring. Just get bigger gloves.
So he does all
better protective gear so that they don't break ribs and get bruises over their eyes and orbital sockets and stuff like that. They get bigger gloves. Better protective gear to protect them. Sparring is supposed to be educational. Sparring is supposed to be timing. Not going out there seeing seeing if one guy can knock the other guy out.
That's doghouse. That's doghouse boxing.
Yeah, but I see that in many places in the world that I've traveled. I see, you know, I mean, from Australia to Detroit to Chicago, Chicago to Philadelphia, back to Spain up to Switzerland, Sweden, France. I've seen it. With these guys in the gym and they going out and ask about this is almost like a fight. I don't like that. I don't like to let my boxers do that. I usually pull my guys out. I say, hey man, come out the ring. We don't need this. We don't get paid for that. They don't cut no checks for that. All we get is lumps, bumps, you know, and delays in the fight because they're injured. I don't like it. That's why I like for them to use bigger gloves, thicker gloves.
What about body sparring? I know that Johnny Nelson's gym or Brendan Ingles' gym used to do a lot of body sparring instead of head sparring.
I mean, different strokes for different folks, but I don't know if they're talking about body sparring. I don't know. Body sparring, what is that?
That basically means you can spar to the body, but you can't throw any punches to the head.
Get out of here with that stuff. I don't know where they come from. Get out of here.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of that nonsense.
Okay. All right. Lev says, potential question for Mr. Ali Bashir. We are seeing young trainers like Ben Davidson and Nate Vasquez have success. Is there anything lacking in younger trainers that can only be gained by experience? Good question.
Ben Davis, who's Ben Davis?
That guy who's training Tyson Fury.
Yeah, he's had success.
Yes.
What kind of success? I mean, what's the other guy's name?
Nate Vasquez.
Okay, Nate Vasquez. So, what kind of success have they had? What did success out?
Yeah.
If he could just point to, I mean,
Leif,
me in.
If you
bring me up to speed.
Leif, if you could explain to Uncle Bashir the what success these two trainers have had. I think with Ben Davison, they're obviously going to say Tyson Fury getting him from the shape he was in to the shape that he is in.
That's just a footnote in his career, but what success has he had? I mean, I don't see what Ben Davis has done. I watch him working with Tyson. You know, I guess that Tyson is teaching him how to be a trainer. but I don't see any great successes that he's done. And Nate Vasquez, who is Nate Vasquez? Who has he had? Who's he work with?
I don't know. I'll find out. I hope Lev can tell us that, because I don't know who Nate Vasquez is. No idea. No idea whatsoever.
Everybody, this is what I'll say to him, everybody wants to be a trainer, but nobody wants to pay their dues. Nobody wants to really go and learn how to be a trainer. They want to get on the job training, and if the fighter has any success, then they'll lay claim to that I taught them that. You know, they said that, you know, that the way I learned boxing is old-fashioned. You know, it's old-fashioned. It's a different day now. This is what they say to me. It's different now. We do it different now. So you go out there, you fumble and you jumble. You know, if you happen to get a champion, then that makes you a great trainer. But no, you got to pay your dues, man. Application is what trainers is. A good trainer has application. You know, a good trainer.
Leif responds. He says, most recently, Nate turning Chris Eubank Jr. around and Davison getting Fury a potential win against Deontay. But to be honest, I feel like James has already schooled me on my point, and he smiles.
No, I don't want to put him down, because you know, there is validity in what he was saying. You know, Chris Eubank had some success in his last fight with a guy that I always thought was subpar. He wasn't a great boxer. The guy that he beat, that guy wasn't a great boxer. He was great for the time that he's living in now. But yesteryear, you go back to the late 50s, 60s, and 70s, the guy Chris Eubank beat would have never been in the top 10. He would have never been in the top 10. If you go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe even the 80s, he wouldn't have been in the top 10. But by today's standards, he's a standout, you know? He's the standout, you know? By today's standards, you know?
Okay, Uncle. Tyson Fury against Tom Swartz. Have you found any more about Tom Swartz? He's in Germany, I think. Is Tom Swartz, a German fighter?
I never heard of Tom Swartz until now, so that I don't even want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. I mean, Tom Swartz. You know, I mean, who is Tom Swartz? I've never heard of Tom Swartz until now. So in my mind, somebody went dug up that Tyson can beat. That's going to make Tyson look good, you know. So I don't want to talk about that. You know, I don't see anything different in Tyson Fury, so I don't know what Ben Davis, what's his validity is. I just don't know.
It's a bit savage, Uncle, isn't it?
Let me say this here too. Good trainers is application. Look at the application of a trainer, and then you can find out just what that trainer knows. Just look at the application overall, not just one fight. No. Look at the application of the trainer overall, fight to fight to see if he gets better or worse. And that will tell you the validity of the trainer.
Okay. Can you explain to me why the Ukrainian fighters, more and more Ukrainian fighters, are having success in boxing? It used to be the Cubans, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think?
But the Ukrainian fighters are hungry fighters. They're hungry fighters. They're very studious fighters. They're very spiritual fighters. You know what I'm saying? You won't find them. When the Cubans leave Cuba, they start bugging out. They start doing all kinds of stuff. They start eating everything that moves. All right? Alcoholism. You know, it's a host of things that the Cuban fighters get involved in. You know? You see Ortiz between fights. You ever seen him between fights?
Yep.
You see how big he gets?
Yeah.
Because they eat everything that moves, you know? They don't have discipline. They're not disciplined, you know? Well, I'm not going to say all of them, but most of them that I've seen, that I've been around in Florida.
Yeah, it was place, Florida.
They don't have a lot of discipline. But the Ukrainian boxer, they have a lot of spiritualism, a lot of desire, a lot of willpower, you know, and a lot of focus. They listen good. They're good listeners. That's why Vasily Lomachenko and Alexander Usyk, that's why they're in the position that they're in now, because they got dig down desire. These guys are going to work their behinds off in the gym. When nobody else is around, they're working their behinds off. When they step in that ring, they mean business.
Uncle, there is a story flying around that Anthony Joshua, should he get past Andy Ruiz, he will face Usyk at the end of the year. What do you make of that?
I heard Usyk tore his bicep. If he tore his bicep, he won't be facing Usyk at the end of the year, because Usyk won't be healed up by the end of the year. If he tore that bicep, it's going to take some time for that bicep to heal up. And you got to watch out for the arm after that. When you tear that bicep up, you tear everything. And that's a hard muscle to heal.
How does injury that happen, Uncle?
But if Usyk fights Anthony Joshua, that's a good fight.
Who wins?
It's a close fight, you know. It's a close fight. But you put a gun to my head and say who wins the fight, I'll pick Anthony Joshua to win the fight.
Wow. Why?
Bigger, younger, stronger. You know, Usyk got a nice boxing style. He can create problems. But Joshua is bigger, he's younger, he's stronger, he comes forward, he punches hard. You know, I'd have to lean towards the champ.
Why the change of heart? Why the change of heart? Before you
No. I said that Usyk gives anybody a problem in the division. I'm just not sure how he would deal with the ability. Now, I'm not worried about the size. Usyk knows how to box a big man. I'm just trying to figure out how he would deal with the strength, the power, the ability. Anthony Joshua is not a dumb fighter. He's a very cagey fighter, you know? But if somebody put a gun to my head and said, who wins, I have to pick Anthony Joshua. He's the champion. In a close decision. Usyk is a slow starter, you know? He's a slow starter. And those first 4 rounds, if he does what he did with Michael Hunter, it could cost him in a fight with Anthony Joshua. Because Joshua's not going to get tired. He's not going to fold. You know, like all the other fighters that fight Usyk, they fold. After the 8th, 9th round, they're done. Joshua's not that kind of guy. He'll be prepared. He knows what he's up against. Boxing Usyk. So that's why I said, if you put a gun to my head, I'd have to take Joshua in that with the decision until I see Usyk at heavyweight and see if he can do something to change my mind. Hello?
I'm still here. I'm still here, Uncle. I just wanted
to make sure nobody grabbed you or something.
No, I was listening to what you had to say and just really thinking about what you were saying. I was just surprised. I was kind of taken back by the whole thing of you and Usyk and Joshua. So I was quite taken back. Another fight I want to talk to you about, which has been announced. Andy Ruiz is now challenging Anthony Joshua. Does he give Joshua any promise?
Andy Ruiz is going to get beat up bad.
Uh-oh.
It's a 5-round fight. Andy Ruiz is going to get beat up bad. Andy Ruiz has got to get close to Joshua to make the difference. And when he gets close, he's going to take a horrific beating.
Uh-oh.
He's going to take a horrific beating from Anthony Joshua. I respect Ruiz. Ruiz is a tough fighter. But, man, he's too little. He's too little. Remember I told you a long time ago, when you fight for the championship of the world, it's not something that you just wake up in the morning and put on a pair of shoes and then go outside walking. No. When you fight for the championship of the world, it's something that you would have been preparing for the entire time before that. And I think what happened when Jarrell Miller fell off with this drugs thing, and they said, all right, Ruiz, you're in. Ruiz, you're up next. He said, oh, man, I'm not ready. But to the media, he said, now I'm getting $1 million. I better get ready. So now he's in the get ready stage. They're going to fight June the 1st. And Joshua is going to take some shots. I don't know if he's going to be able to stand up. And if he does stand up, he probably won't be no good for the rest of the year. Because he's going to take a horrific beating. Joshua's going to beat that boy down. He's going to beat him down.
What about the hand speed of Ruiz? Does that come into it?
Yeah, hand speed, but how do you get close to Joshua? Ruiz got those little arms compared to Joshua, so he's got to get close to him, and when he gets close to him, he's got to eat some leather. You saw when Povetkin was fighting Joshua?
Yeah.
Povetkin was doing a good job boxing until he got hit. And that first right hand that hit Povetkin, did you see Povetkin's leg?
Yep.
And Joshua stood there for a second or two after he wobbled him. Joshua stood there and looked down and said, you know what I'm going to do to you now. The expression that was on his face, he said, you know it's getting ready to happen right now, right? And Povetkin was like saying, man, this is not good. He had the expression on his face like, this is not good, you know?
Yeah.
Joshua hit him, and Joshua didn't rush to get him. He hit him, and Povetkin's legs wobbled, and Joshua looked out and said, you know what's getting ready to happen now, right? I think that people is underestimating Anthony Joshua. I think that he's highly underestimated. Somebody he's got no chin, this and that. I think people underestimate that kid.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. I see it being a 5-round fight. Joshua stops in the 5 round.
Wow. Oh, well. There's no hope for Andy Ruiz then.
I don't think so.
Joe Joyce looks like he's stepping aside. He was going to fight Daniel Dubois. He's stepping aside, and he's going to let Daniel Dubois and Nathan Gorman fight one another.
Who?
Nathan Gorman and Daniel Dubois are going to fight.
Yeah, I thought Gorman's going to fight him.
What do you think?
Dubois is going to beat him.
What did you think of Dubois' last fight against Laffy? Or late Laffy?
I'm
wild.
glad that he had that fight. I'm glad that he had that fight because Dubois proved that, hey, look, I'm a player in this thing. I'm not just another young guy walking down the street. I'm a player in this thing. You jump on me, I'm going to jump back on you. People say, oh, it was like amateurs out there. No, sometimes a fight breaks out in a fight. They talking about they look like amateurs out there. Well, what was Ron Lyle and George Foreman? Was they amateurs? No. Sometimes in a fight breaks out, and that's exactly what happened. The guy jumped on Dubois, and Dubois said, no, you got to jump up off me. And he showed his worth in that fight. He proved his worth in that fight. That I'm not just another young guy out here. I'm here to fight. And I will fight. So I like the results of that fight. I like what he did in that fight. He fought back when it came down to, you can't always be correct. You can't always just double up on the jab and hook off the jab and all this here by the book stuff. Sometimes a fight breaks out, and that's exactly what happened. And I appreciated what he did out there by fighting back. I appreciated both fighters that night because they laid it on the line. And that's what boxing is all all about.
Okay.
And Dubois and Glory, it's gonna be a good fight. But I got Dubois.
Final question, Joe Joyce. Oh no, don't tell me you've gone. Oh, don't do this to me.
Dubois.
Yeah, Joe Joyce. Your final thoughts on Joe Joyce?
Joe Joyce is a big, strong guy, and he's hungry. He's a big, strong guy that's hungry.
He's fighting Ustinov. Ustinov, yeah, he's fighting Ustinov. This
and he's fighting Ustinov, and he's going to knock Ustinov out. Ustinov has nothing to threaten Joe Joyce with. Nothing.
And then George Joyce is going to have a big fight after that, I understand. I don't know who it is, though.
A big fight after Ustinov?
Yeah, that's what I understand. That's the plan for them. They're going to fast track him.
Joe Joyce he's in a good place. He's a good fighter. He's not great, but he's a good fighter.
Is he good enough? Is he good enough to become heavyweight champion of the world?
Yeah, I think so.
Could he beat?
I think so.
Can he beat Joshua?
Big, strong, and he can punch.
Can
he can punch. Anybody that can punch can be heavyweight champion of the world.
Can he beat Joshua?
No.
Can he beat Wilder?
I don't think so.
How's he going to become heavyweight champion of the world unless he fights for the WBA belt?
I said that he could be. I didn't say he will be heavyweight champion in the world now. I said he could be heavyweight champion, not now. I don't think that he has the tools to beat either one of those guys.
Okay.
And every other two fights they got him with a different trainer.
That's interesting. What do you make of this thing of Abel Sanchez first losing Joe Joyce and then losing Gennady Golovkin?
Listen, I've told you for years. I mean, sometimes every trainer can't train every fighter. All right? Fighters know what they want. They know what they need. And obviously, they wasn't getting it from Abel Sanchez. So they said, you know what, Abel, I'm out of here. I've been telling you that for years, Every trainer is not for every fighter.
But Gennady was with Abel for years.
Right. But it took up until now. And that last fight with Canelo said, you know what, Triple G said, you know what, I need to change.
But now
I need to learn how to deal with this kind of style.
Yeah, but he's left Abel and he's gone now to Jonathan Banks. Is that from the frying pan into the fire?
It could be. I've seen this before. And I don't want to condemn Jonathan Banks without giving him a chance. They're building Jonathan up as though Jonathan is a magic man, But my mother said the proof is in the tasting of the pudding. That's what my mom said. The proof is always in the tasting of the pudding. And we have to see what Jonathan Banks does, because he didn't make much of a difference with Vladimir Klitschko. When he trained Cecilia Brekos was already a champ. So we have to see if Jonathan Banks can be effective training Gennady Golovkin. If he can come in with a fighter that's been with another trainer for 10 years, if Jonathan Banks can come in and make changes, as in you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So we have to give Jonathan Banks a chance to see what changes, what adjustments he can make to either make Triple G better or will Triple G remain the same.
Okay.
It's a difficult task. Either way, it's a difficult task because Triple G has been best suited for the style that he's in. But Banks is coming in. He's got some ideas. He says he can't wait for the rematch between him and Canelo. So we just have to wait and see. But I don't see, like I some changes. I want to see some changes for the better. Because he was getting hit by Canelo in that last fight. Clean shots. You know, there's no doubt about his ability to take punishment. Because he took some punishment in that last fight. You know? So we have to wait and see.
Okay.
You know, they're selling people that this is the best move for him. You know, Tom Loeffler said that nobody else was ever even considered. I chose Jonathan Banks. Nobody else was even considered. So, obviously, they think that Jonathan Banks could come in and make the difference and change his style or add on to his style to give him a new birth in boxing. We'll have to wait and see. I think the only fight out there right now to establish credibility with Triple G is the Charlo fight.
Yes.
That's the fight that he can really establish his superiority over the division if he comes back and fight the Charlo.
He's going to fight Steve Rolls. He's fighting Steve Rolls now. Do you know who Steve Rolls is?
Steve Rolls. Who?
He's fighting Steve Rolls.
Who's that?
I thought he's American. I thought you'd know.
I don't know who he is.
I
honestly don't know who he is.
I've got no idea who he is either.
That's who he's fighting?
That's who's coming back against, yes. Steve Rolls. Big drama show.
Well, huh?
Big drama show.
Yeah, big drama show. You know, okay, but I'm thinking that you know, that's why, you know, I'm anxious to see him fight Charlo.
So am I.
You know, I'd like for Canelo to fight Andrade, Triple G to fight Charlo, and then if they both come out on top, fight each other.
And Billy Joe Saunders?
Billy Joe has to establish his credibility. He got knocked off for the drug thing, you know, so he got to come back. He's the one that should fight Steve Rolls.
Oh,
Billy
funny.
Billy Joe Saunders is not in demand right now.
No, he isn't. He isn't. He isn't.
Nobody's knocking down no doors to see Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah.
Nobody is knocking the doors down to see Billy Saunders. I know I'm not. I can care less if I never see him again in my life. In my life, because he doesn't capture the imagination. Billy Joe Saunders does not capture the imagination. There's no excitement about him for me. I mean, in boxing now, you got to search high and low just to get some excitement, to get really excited about this. I remember there was a time in my life when I didn't miss no boxing matches. From the bantamweight all the way to the heavyweights, I knew who everybody was. Now, I'll be like, oh, I'll see it on YouTube on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's
9 days later.
Yeah, that's me. That's how I am.
I'm going to bed. You know, I'm not even. I'm you know, in the old days, I would stay up all night to watch a fight, but now I'm not enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
You know, and when I'm teaching the young boxers now, when I'm teaching them the logistics of boxing, I'm teaching them from a heartfelt stance. No, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do. They want to come in with these boxing trunks on that's 3 sizes too big for them, big heavy boots on. Kills your speed, man. You need light material, short boxing trunk where you can move. But they have these big trunks on that covers their knees. I said, where you go with those pictures? It look like pajamas. It was like pajamas. And then they have these heavy shoes on. How you gonna move? How you gonna depend on speed when you don't? Oh my God! It's just, you know, it's so hard for me to get my passion across, and that's part of what kills my desire. When they don't listen to the people that've been around boxing for years. I know how to make a start if you but listen to me. You know? I used to try to get a Maurice Hearn to wear boxing. He said, no, I don't want to wear those. Those are gay. He said the trunks that Muhammad Ali and Ray Roberts and he said the trunks was gay. I said, what? He said, yeah, no, I don't want to wear them. Those are gay. And have on these big ass trunks covering his knees and stuff. And then when the trunks get wet, you carry around 10, 15 extra pounds. And you're trying to box with all this good stuff on. So, I don't understand. I don't understand the boxers that's in boxing. Because the people that have been around boxing for years, they don't take the advice. They won't listen to the advice. And most of the time, it's sage advice.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of stuff that goes on now. But I don't have the same enthusiasm for the sport that I used to have. Of course, I have enthusiasm when I'm inside the gym. I'm in my zone. When I'm in the gym, I'm in a zone.
Uncle, you've been asked a question. He says, ask us, Uncle, if a boxer from the past that went missing and never returned to boxing, can you name any?
I had to scramble my mind, but I'm sure they are. I've seen boxers walk away from the sport because of a robbery, bad judging. When they say to hell with boxing, and they walk away and they don't come back because the judging is corrupt, the judging is bad, and they walk away. That's the most thing that the boxers will walk away. Not because they got hurt. They can live with being hurt. But the thing that makes the boxers walk away is when they get jobs on a decision. Sort of like with Adelaide Bird.
Yeah.
Adelaide Bird, she's known for coming up with bad decisions. She's seeing a fight that nobody in the audience is seeing and other judges don't see. So what do they think? What is one to think? I mean, Adelaide Bird comes up with some off-the-wall judging.
She's a promoter's best friend or best pet,
With the Canelo fight. She should never be involved in a fight with Canelo.
She's a teacher's pet. That's what she is. Promoter's pet.
Yeah. And it hurts boxers. These people out there training for weeks. They're getting beat on for weeks in a sparring camp. They get beat on by the sparring partners, and then they got to go in the ring and fight and get beat on that night, only to have a judge at a desk that never threw a punch, that never took a punch, and say, "Oh, that other guy won." So tell the listener that most of the time when boxers walk away from, there's a lot of boxers that do it. Some of them have 10 fights, some of them have 8 fights, some of them have 15 fights, and they get discouraged because of the judging. That's the most thing that boxers walk away because they can't get a fair shake with the judges. They say, you know what? What am I doing here? What am I doing here? I might as well go get a job somewhere because I'm fighting and some judge behind the desk is stealing the fight from me. So that's the case where boxers will, walk away from the sport.
Okay. All right. Uncle, as always, thank you for being on BWTM Online. Do you have any final thoughts before we let you go tonight?
The fans is the most valuable asset that boxing has. And the pin pushers, those people that's judging the fight, they don't seem to give a damn. Because they have modern technology, the videos, and they won't use it to correct boxing. So what's the sense in having all of this technology and you're not using it? And in most states, you say, oh, these judges were bad. Well, the judge's decision has made their decision and the decision can't be overturned. What do you mean the decision can't be overturned? So you tell me all the technology we got, we're not going to overturn the decisions? We're just going to get screwed on the scorecards? lot of these decisions are terrible decisions. A lot of the decisions that's going on in boxing are terrible. It's almost like somebody is giving these judges envelopes with money in it. Make sure my guy wins. Make sure my guy wins. I've seen some terrible decisions. I've seen it. And this is discouraging because the fans keep allowing them to get away with it. If all the fans got to do say, I'm not going to watch them more. When those numbers start going down and the fans complain loudly and say, we're not watching because the judges are terrible. The judging is terrible. You know, I thought that Floyd Mayweather lost to Castillo the first fight. I've watched the fight numerous times, and I just don't see how the judges gave that fight to Floyd Mayweather unanimous decision. I've watched the fight numerous times, and I'm looking for the reason that the judges gave Floyd the fight unanimously. Have you watched the fight?
I've seen it a couple of times. I've thought the same thing, but
I've said it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. Look at the punch stats. Look at everything in the fight. It wasn't even close. Floyd lost the fight, man. Floyd Mayweather is not undefeated. He lost that fight. The judges gave him that fight.
Well, the same thing was when Kawasaki fought Robin Reed. People said that Reed won the fight, but Kawasaki got the decision.
That could be the case. You know, you can't. You got three people sitting at a desk, and you got millions of people watching around the world saying, "Nope, the other guy won." Holyfield versus Lennox Lewis in the Garden, first fight. They called the fight a draw. No way the fight was a draw. Lennox Lewis beat him.
The second fight, I thought Holyfield beat him, but they gave it to Lennox. I thought Holyfield beat Lennox in the rematch, but I think that they gave it to Lennox because of the controversy of the first one, and they dare not give the decision to Holyfield.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It makes mockery of the sport.
And if they'd given the decision right for Holyfield, they would have beaten.
Boxing is just a bastard sport. You know, this thing with Abel Sanchez and Gennady Golovkin. You know, Abel is fighting for his economic life. He said, "Look, I've been with you for 10 years, man. I can see if Gennady said, look, I'm gonna give you $300,000. I'm gonna give you $300,000 a fight. Flat rate, $300,000. Abel wouldn't have argued with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you $300,000 a fight. I'm getting $100 million, but I'm only gonna give you $100,000.
That's no good.
That's no good. And the guy been with you from the very beginning. He's been with you from the very beginning. It only happens in boxing. You go to hockey. You go to American football, soccer, any of these other professions, and those people, when those athletes get paid, the coaches get paid. They get paid comparable paychecks. Boxing is the only sport that don't let you do that. I'd like to tell Vlad Tsarenko and Vladimir Kasuki and all the other boxers that I work with, give me a trainer's contract. It's called job security. Because, say for instance, a fighter walks out of a house or walks out of a drugstore, walks out of a McDonald's or walks out of a supermarket and get hit by a car. Or falls and break an ankle or something, they cannot box again. That lawsuit that the fighter gets, I should be included in that. I should be able to sue that same place. Because I had a contract with this boxer. Now this boxer can't box no more. Now the boxer's going to get paid, but how about the trainer? The trainer should get paid too. If I got that contract, I could walk into and say, that was my boxer, this is my contract. You got to pay me too. Call job security. My thinking is if a person has take me 6 weeks, and you ask me, say, well, can you sign a contract to that effect? I said, yeah, I'll sign a contract because I know what's in my heart. I know what's in my mind. I know what my intentions are. I'm ready. Yeah, where you want me to sign it? I'll sign it. In 6 weeks, your house will be done. And I'll be ready to sign that contract because I know my intentions are there. I know that my will is there. I know my desire is there. I know that I'm going to do the right thing by my benefactor. So nobody should be hesitant about signing a contract. If your heart is right, if your intentions is right, sign a contract. Give the trainers a contract. If you have respect for the trainer, if you have love for the trainer, if you want to see the trainer prosper along next to you, because the trainers out there busting their ass trying to make you a success. So if they're busting their ass trying to get you a success, and what's hypocritical about it is that the boxers will give everybody a contract but the trainer. The key factor in them becoming what they are, the key factor in them becoming successful is because of the trainer. But they'll give everybody a contract and then they'll give the trainer all the time. Why? I just told you why. If you break a leg or something, if a car hits you or something, or you fall off a roof, or you fall through a floor, anything, the trainer with that paper can walk in and say, you guys owe me money to do. Because I put 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years into this boxer. And now he's been injured, he can't box no more, so you have to compensate for him not being in the box. I got paper right here to say it. That's the right thing to do. But when boxers say, no, I don't want to do a contract, that means they got something evil going on in their heart. That means they got something evil going on in their mind. So, well, I don't want to sign a contract. Why? Because you got some kind of ill intent in your heart and your mind where you don't want to do that by the trainer because you know you're going to fuck the trainer. So, that's what I had to say. I get quite emotional about those kind of things. Because it's easy for a boxer to say, well, I don't want to work with you no more. Gennady Golovkin can get $100 million deal. You got a guy that worked with you for 10 years, and you can't give the guy $300,000 out of $100 million. You can't say, here, take that flat rate, $300,000. That's what I can give you. I'm gonna give you a flat rate of $300,000. And that's a comparable pay. You're not giving them 10%. You're not giving them 15%. You're not giving them 8%. Just give them a flat rate. Give him something so he can live his life. Live out his life with his family. His aspiration, his dreams. But you got somebody working there and you get $100 million check and say, I'm going to give you $100,000. That's an insult. It's an insult. There are other people out there say, no, it's not an insult, it's just business and this and that, this and that. And the name of it just being business is still an insult. The guy working with you, busting his hump, and you just give him $100,000. I'm sure that Triple G will have some kind of justification for doing that. If you're looking for a justification, it's like pulling rabbits out of a hat. I'll find a rabbit, and I'll pull it out of the hat. But it don't make it right. It doesn't make it right. If you love a person, you do right by the person. If you care about a person, then you'll do right by the person. I do right by people, strangers on the street. Depending on the measure of what it is that we're transferring, what I'm giving to them, I'll do right by them. I'll do right by. I won't hurt nobody on the street. I won't betray nobody on the street. I'll do right by them. If a person hungry, then I'll take them in a place and I'll feed them. I don't have to know him. I've done it a dozen times and I'll still do it right to this day. I don't have to know him. I saw a guy one day, I was coming out of a post office and the guy came out and I saw the girl crying. As the girl came out the post on the girl was crying and stuff. I just walked up to him. I said, well, what's happening? God said, what? I said, what's happening? I want to know why she was crying. And they had just lost an apartment. They didn't have no place to go. I mean, they had lost an apartment. I don't know why they lost it. I didn't even ask, I don't know what happened, but they lost the place. So I said, oh, look, what can I do? He said, well, we ain't stuff you can really do, we just out, So I just told him, I said, well, wait here. And I went to the bank and I came back and I gave him $300. Now, I never saw them since then. And I probably wouldn't know him if I saw him. But I left there with a sense of accomplishment and the guy just looked at me and said, well, why would you do this here? Why would you do this here? Well, I mean, what do you want from me? I don't want nothing. I gave him the $300 and I went away. And if I saw him or her today, I probably wouldn't know who that was. About 2-3 years ago, And if I saw them today, I probably wouldn't know who they were. They might know who I am, but I wouldn't remember their faces. But I had a sense of accomplishment, of achievement, because I did right by my fellow man. I did right by my fellow man. And that's what boxers need to understand about their trainers. In some cases, you have these boxers and trainers that they're together practically all their lives. And very, very seldom was the boxer appreciated. I remember a story. I don't want to put the names out there, the people out there, because the people might not want to be on it. But it was a boxer, and it was a lawyer, and the boxer had won the championship of the world, and so the boxer calls the trainer and he calls the lawyer and says, I want to have a meeting. So the lawyer tells me, oh yeah, this guy's the champion now. Here we go with the nonsense. Here we go with the big nonsense. Now he wants to have a meeting. So I'm looking for bad news at the meeting. So they go to the meeting and the boxer says, I won the championship, and I won the championship because I got two good people on my side. I got a good trainer and I got a good attorney. So what I want to do is I want to give the attorney, I want to give you 5% more, and I want to give the trainer 2% more. So he bumped the trainer up from 10% to 12%, and he gave the attorney 5% more on his end. And the attorney came back and said, man, I had never seen nothing like that. The attorney said, I had never experienced anything like that in my life. He said, Bashir, when I went to the meeting, I was expecting some bad news. I was expecting for him to say, well, he's going to cut back on the money. He's going to give us less, but he came and gave us more. He said, I had never experienced nothing like that before or since. And the boxer's name was Chris Bird. The boxer's name was Chris Bird. That's what he did. And I thought that was admirable because Chris Bird is a good person. He's a good person. He's just a good, genuine person. And he did that. So that story is for all of the boxers out there that think that they're doing it by themselves. You're not doing it by yourself. Those trainers out there that's putting their life on the line, busting their ass to help you become a star. They're giving you fuel and injection. So look out for the trainers. Look out for them. Give them some just due. Because God is watching everything anyway. You're going to get nothing if you don't do right by the people that's in your life. Ain't no good fortune going to come to you. You have some minimal good fortune, but in the end, you won't have no good fortune because you're not looking out for your people. Okay. I said a mouthful. Good night to y'all. Good night to y'all. Good night to y'all. Ramadan Mubarak. Ramadan Mubarak. All right? Good night to you, brother.
Yep. Hello? Okay, and we are live.